If you're watching this video, chances are that your dream, much as mine is to become a doctor. But getting into med school is no easy feat. And how do we handle rejection from medical school? Hi there everyone, my name's Ollie. I'm a third year medical student at the University of Warwick on the graduate entry programme. Right everyone, this is a difficult topic to discuss, but a lot of people ask me, what should I do if I don't get into medical school? And this is a really complicated question because it very much depends on your particular circumstances. Now before we do go any further, and to give you the chance to leave if you want, I applied for medical school once and was successful on my first attempt. So what that means is that I do not know from personal experience and have not experienced failing to get entry to medical school on an application. And the reason I bring that up is that if you want to hear from someone who has gone through that same experience, which of course it is of value for you to do, then this might not be the video for you. I'm offering advice from a more theoretical standpoint, but I do believe in it and it makes sense to me. So let's start with the first and most important thing to remember if you don't get into medical school, which is that that's okay, right? Failure to get into medical school on any particular application cycle does not mean that you are incompetent, unsuitable for a career in medicine, or that you wouldn't make a brilliant doctor. It doesn't mean any of those things. The harsh reality, right, is that the statistics are against you from the moment that you even think about applying to medical school. The last time I looked up the stats on this, 60% of medical school candidates who apply will receive 0 offers, right? 60%. As soon as you apply, you're already more likely than not to fail to achieve entry in a given cycle. The competition is about 10 people per place, between 9 and 10 for undergraduate entry. For graduate entry medicine, it goes up substantially. It can be 25, 30 plus to 1. So let that just serve as your gentle reminder. And remember that you're not competing with randomers off the street. You're competing with people who are as smart, as driven, as potentially suitable to be a medic as you are. All of us that are here at med school now got lucky in a particular cycle. For me, that happened to be my first. For some people, it might be their 4th, their 5th, their 6th, so on. The best chance you have of getting into medical school after failing is to apply again. Otherwise, it won't happen. So just chin up, move on. Now we'll talk about actual steps we can put into place. So if you have exhausted all 4 of your applications to medicine, because you're allowed 4 slots on your UKCAT form for medicine in any given cycle, we need to do some hardcore reflecting. Reflect like you have not reflected before. So the first thing we need to do is think about our grades and our entrance exam scores, because these are the first cut-offs that a medical school will use often before even looking at anything else. Did you have the requisite grades for all the places you applied to, as well as the requisite entry exam scores to make you competitive? I can't reiterate this to people enough when they're thinking about medical schools. There's no room for negotiation. They do not care about you as an individual. There are simply too many people applying each year. You know, if some element of what you've got, if your degree isn't in the right subject area, or you don't have the correct A levels, like you could be a living saint and have the best CV in the world, they use automated systems. They don't care. You have to play the game and make sure that you tick the right boxes. It sounds really harsh, and a lot of people, including myself, wish it wasn't like that, but it is. That's just the way it works. Find out, if you can, what the entry score cutoffs were. You can email the university to ask. A lot of the times it gets posted on forums. You could message a few med students at that university if you can get hold of some on social media and ask, you know, what were your entry scores? Most people won't mind telling you. In my case, for example, I scored a 693 average on the UKCAT for 2017 entry at Warwick in a year where the cutoff was about 690. I have a very low UKCAT score for my year. Hasn't bothered me at all. But now I speak to students who get in with scores of like 650, 660, so scores seem to be coming down. And just grades wise, meticulously check your qualifications against what the university list on their website. Either fix your qualifications and experience such that they do match up, or don't apply there again. It's as simple as that. You can also consider what you felt went wrong. So, you know, if you feel that you performed really badly on entrance exam test day, if it all went south in the interview and you didn't know what was going on, or you were grilled on a subject area that you were really unsure about, or you performed badly in a group station, then these are all things to practice for next time. The best way to get good at most of the medical application elements is simply practice them over and over and over again. And it's a place where you need really, really honest feedback from friends and family, particularly when you're practicing mock interview answers. I'm quite a mean interviewer when I'm practicing with you guys. Many of you who had mock Skype interviews with me will know that I can be pretty harsh during the mocks, but that's the best way. That'll make you the best candidate. Another way of getting feedback is asking the medical schools that you applied to. Now, this can be really tricky because some of them have a blanket statement where they say, you know, we don't offer individualized feedback to candidates. Then, as I say, don't bother talking to them because you've already signed yourself out of that by agreeing to apply there. But for schools where they're not so clear-cut about it, you can email their admissions department and say, you know, look, I want to apply again. Is there any feedback you can give me, any information that I might find useful? Just be tactful, friendly. Someone might go out of their way to help you. And the third thing you can do, not that I necessarily recommend this because it's kind of a dick move and I'm not sure that I would do it. It depends what I was applying for. But something that you ultimately can do is freedom of information request any information they have on you out of them. And this is particularly true for interview scores. Some medical schools might give you a copy of your interview feedback. Some do, some don't. It's up to them. In a case where they don't, they actually are obliged to give you that information and you can see your scores, but you have to go through the FOI process. That can be very time consuming. It's difficult because you have to be really, really specific about what you want. And having been involved in several of them myself, not anything to do with medical applications, more from a journalistic standpoint, they're a huge pain in the arse and not really enjoyable for anyone. So now we're just going to go through some kind of case examples of where you might be in the cycle and what I would recommend doing at each point, kind of chronologically. So, starting with sixth form college level applications, right? If you're, I don't know, 16, 17, you know, applying for medicine when you go to university, when you leave school, let's say to start with, as is the more common case, you don't get the grades. So you had an offer of 3 A's and you get AAB. C, with those medical schools that you've applied to, if they accept resits, so you could in the next year sit whatever exams you needed to take again if your school lets you. I know the A-level system has changed in this regard, certainly since I left school. I don't know whether grades can be retaken. If your school lets you retake grades in the next year and the medical schools that you've applied to are willing to accept students who've retaken certain A-levels, and this varies by medical school, then I would recommend doing that if that's an option for you. Or maybe you did get the grades, you know, you got your 3 A's, but either your UKCAT score wasn't good enough or you were unsuccessful at interview. I would advise taking a year out and applying again, preferably spending that time doing something worthwhile, like getting more clinical experience or just getting a job, doing some volunteering or traveling or just doing something worthwhile with the time. And the reason that I recommend in both these cases trying again in the following year is because you can stay within the pool of undergraduate medicine applications. It is less competitive to apply for undergraduate medicine places than it is to apply as a graduate with a degree. And this also means that you don't incur the time and the expense penalties that come with studying a first degree. So if that's an option for you, that's what I would do. Failing both of those situations, or if you just were ready to go to university and you wanted to do a degree in something that interested you, go do that. That's what I did. Instead of hanging around and retaking, admittedly not knowing much about how grad medicine worked at the time, I went and did a degree straight from school, 18 to 21. So now you get to your second summer of uni, you're applying for med school at the first possible chance. Either you get in and you can start medical school the year you graduate, which is what happened in my case, but this video obviously is about if we don't get in. So, same principles apply, reflect hard, why didn't I get in? Could have just been unlucky. That's always a possibility. But now we have to think about what we want to do. First tip, obviously, reapply. Think about applying next year. What am I going to do to improve my application? But the question that I get asked a lot at this stage when people are thinking is, should I keep studying? Should I do a master's? Should I think about doing a PhD? What should I do with my time? For me, and again, I can't stress enough that this is personal opinion, but I do think it's logically sound. I do not think that pursuing higher education beyond a bachelor's degree, purely for the sake of applying to medicine afterwards, is a good deal at the moment, because to get that bachelor's degree, you're looking at like £40,000, £45,000 of debt. Taking an additional degree obviously incurs more time, more money. And specifically in terms of applying for medical school and the bonus that these additional degrees give you, it's very, very much a case of diminishing returns. For graduate entry medicine, what you need is a bachelor's degree. And we know that most grad entry medicine courses aren't flooded with people who have master's degrees and PhDs. Certainly with the larger courses, somewhere like Warwick, the majority of people have a bachelor's degree and nothing else. And when you go to apply for foundation jobs as a junior doctor and specialty training, they don't really care too much about things beyond a bachelor's degree in terms of awarding you additional points. So when I get asked the question by people, should I do a master's, should I do a PhD in order to be more competitive for medical school? No, I don't think you should. I think it's a poor investment of time and money if that specifically is the goal. And I think you would be better served by spending a year doing something clinical, whether it's working as a healthcare assistant, volunteering, or just carrying on working doing something else. It's very different if you say, I want to do a master's degree in a subject that I enjoy, or I want to do a PhD in a subject I'm really passionate about and want to study for 3 or 4 years. I had several backup plans for what I would do for a year if I didn't get into medical school. One of them was a master's in clinical neuroscience. One of them was beginning a PhD in viral genomics, but that was on the understanding that I would be let out after a year if I was successful in medical school application the next time. And then the third was doing the GDL and potentially setting myself up to become a patent lawyer. And remember that as a graduate, if you have a bachelor's degree, you are also able to apply for undergraduate entry medical degrees as well. That is to say, you have both accelerated courses for which you're able to receive the normal full student loan and bursary that you would as an undergrad. You can also apply for the 5 and 6 year programs that the kids coming out at 18 can. However, this will be much more expensive as you're not able to access the full loan system to cover the tuition fees as a school leaver would. And just as a general principle, and the most important thing is just staying resilient. It can take some people years to get into medical school, and that's fine. Failure is absolutely not a sign that you're not going to be a great doctor one day. It's just a ridiculous system with so many weird hoops to jump through, none of which make an awful lot of sense, and no one cares about once you actually get into medical school. It's just the way it is, and you got to make friends, get involved with the medic applicant community on places like YouTube, Instagram. I love to hear from you guys and enjoy answering your questions if I can. And one of the most gratifying things for me since starting this channel is actually seeing some of you go through multiple application cycles in that time and be successful. And if I've been able to help with that, then that's the best feeling in the world. And the thing is that, you know, you guys watching this, you're going to be my colleagues one day. And I look forward to working with you because I know how lovely and supportive of each other you all are. So that's where I'm going to wrap that on that nice positive note. Take care, guys, and I will see you in another video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to support the channel, there are a few ways you can do that. The easiest is to like, comment, and subscribe. You can buy me a coffee using my Ko-Fi link, which will keep me going as I edit this video, or you can save 10% off your first year of Complete Anatomy 2020 using my referral link in the description below. Take care and I'll see you next time.